expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
TalkTainmentRadio.com, we go where you go, the world's greatest radio. You are now in touch with the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is radio the way it should be heard. Call-in line is now open at 877-932-9766, and good morning and welcome to the program. Today's program is going to focus on white supremacy as a topic. One of our Gmailers wrote in and addressed that to me to ask Mr. Fuller that. So we will delve into that. 1-877-932-9766 is one of the numbers that you can call to get in contact with the show. You can also reach the show by Gmail, the numero 7, Mr. Bobby at gmail.com. Let's see here. You can also do this. You can listen live by going to Talktainment Radio, then hit the .com and then hit the Listen Live button. And there you can like and subscribe. You can also go to the YouTube channel, type in the word Talktainment, then scroll down to radio and then hit the type in Talktainment number 2, and then you're there. You can hit the like and subscribe button there. Replay of the show, Facebook.com/Talktainment, and you can do it there. Yes, we will be doing the donation. I'm sorry. Oh, podcast. Yeah. The podcast of that. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Thank you. They told me in the background that. Okay. By the way, this program is live. It's not rehearsed or anything. It's just the way it is. So that means it's going to have some mistakes in it. Okay. And sometimes they talk to me while I'm broadcasting, so that's why you might hear that stuff. Okay. Let's see here. Don't forget the program in the second hour is going to be for the donations, but we will also mention it even in this hour. But we need the donations because we get a lot of long distance phone calls from people all over, and since nobody is donating, that has to be paid for. So that's why we stress that in putting the whole thing together for the second hour. The first hour is on Talktainment Radio, so don't worry about that. Mr. Fuller and myself are not compensated for any of the donations that you send in, and they are 100% tax deductible. Okay. Oh, with that is what I must do. I think that's all out of the way. Okay. Let me introduce Mr. Fuller to some, present to others, Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., and as usual, we say good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning.
And this day, how are you?
I'm still learning.
Okay. People really like to hear that, by the way. They love that. Okay, Mr. Fuller, what we have started here is a list of your recommended movies. Just for a recap, we did this, the BBC History of Racism, which, by the way, still getting a lot of inquiries about that. People are really interested and want to watch that. Let's see. I, Claudius, number 2. Gone with the Wind, number 3. Shane, Ombre, High Noon, Bound for Glory, The Grapes of Wrath, Sounder. You have mentioned the Shawshank Redemption, Casablanca, and The Godfather 1 and 2, although they did make 3. So now we've had a week. You've had a week to go over 3 more. So what would be your 3 offerings for this week?
Well, I'll just look at my list here.
Okay.
What was that last one that I
The
gave?
last one you gave was Sounder.
Sounder?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, did I mention one called The Grapes of Wrath?
Yes.
Yes,
You mentioned
okay.
that.
All right. And then there was Sounder. Okay. And then there's another one. I try to list them in a sort of a time sequence, but also topic sequence.
Okay.
And so it's one called Wild River.
Wild River. Okay.
Wild River with Montgomery Clift. Now, there's another movie called River Wild, but that's not the movie I'm talking about.
Okay.
This is Wild River.
Okay.
It's talking about the Tennessee Valley Authority.
TVA, yes.
Yeah, the TVA back in the 1930s and whatnot, when they were building dams all over in some places in the South, mostly to control the water floods and all like that, and also to produce hydroelectricity.
Yes.
And it's a very interesting study, I think, and how that was done. And I think it's pretty accurate. It was well done, well acted, and it had all kinds of other stories in there, because I try to pick movies based on the number of lessons you can get out of each scene. And so I think that's a lesson movie too. Wild River.
Okay.
I think it came out in the 1950s or early 60s.
Yes, okay. And what else? Let's see, that's one for today.
Okay, and
2
then
more.
there's another one that sort of runs along that same line called Splendor in the Grass. I've seen it on television recently, and I thought that I would add that one on there.
Splendor in the Grass, okay.
Yeah, Splendor in the Grass. And then, of course, one that they're even talking about now, the kind of the shoes that are in the movie, and that is The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Now, that's sort of like a 1939 movie, I believe. That's supposed to be a 4-star movie about fantasy and whatnot. One of the few movies that I have that is about, sort of cartoonish.
Okay.
But it is a well-known movie because it's based on a well-known book.
Yes.
For young people, mostly.
Yes, for young people.
Wizard of Oz. But there's lessons in the movie. Not a lot of lessons, but some fundamental lessons.
Oh, yes, there's a,
Right.
in my personal writings, I often make reference to that. Okay, that's 15, so we'll stop there for this week, and then we'll do some next week. Okay, now, 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call to get in to ask Mr. Fuller your questions, or you can go with the topic today. This comes from a person by the name of B. Will, and he says this, Mr. Fuller, by Gmail. He says, Mr. Fuller, I hear you sometimes say not to bring up racism when having certain conversations with people if they are not talking about it. But it is always on my mind and constantly thinking of ways to be constructive in ending it, especially since I purchased the book and word guide. Thank you, my brother. If somebody asks me a question about any area of activity, is that correct for me to bring it up then? Because I think that either provides the opportunity to educate them, or if I know that racism is a topic, they don't care to talk about it, maybe I should avoid talking to them at all. Is that also correct?
No, you're going to be talking about racism if you mention one word. That word is what you're supposed to be trying to produce as a replacement for racism. And that's even my website, Produce Justice. 2 words. Everybody should be about the business of producing justice. Why? Because justice is something that hasn't been produced anywhere on the planet. So any conversation that involves people, you should always be thinking about and talking about producing a product called justice. And what is justice? Guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help at the time and place that that person needs it. Now, if you talk about any one of those two subjects, persons being mistreated, and number two, persons who need help the most, you're going to be talking about racism. And that conversation is going to lead smack into it. There's no way to talk about those two things, people being mistreated and or people who need help the most in any one or more areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. If you start off a conversation like that or engage in a conversation like that, because most conversations are going to lead anyway to someone saying that they're being mistreated on a job or something, all right? Somewhere along the line, that's going to come up. And if the conversation isn't about someone being mistreated, the conversation most likely is going to be about someone needing help.
Yes.
People like to talk about if they need help. They'll talk about they need help. I mean, because everybody needs help. At some time or another, or most of the time, or all of the time, you need some type of help. Even if it's no more than just getting information about what the bus schedule is for today, or what traffic is going to be like, or whether or not it's going to rain. You need help. All right? That's why it's all about question marks.
Yes, sir.
Okay? So you just start off. I mean, or you take part in a conversation based on those two things. Keep those things in mind. This is what you bring up, because all your conversations are supposed to be about something constructive anyway. Otherwise, you shouldn't be saying anything. No one should be saying anything if it's not constructive conversation, according to compensatory logic. See, so a constructive conversation is going to always be about guaranteeing that nobody's mistreated, ultimately, and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. And you will find that if all you have to do is just start off talking about producing justice and guaranteeing that no one is mistreated, and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help.
Yes, sir.
And that is automatically going to lead somewhere along the line. Might take a little while. It's going to lead into somebody making a remark about race. Then that's when you plunge in all the way. But you don't bring it up, because people have a tendency to say, I'm not thinking about no race and racism and whatnot. I mean, what are you talking to me about that for? Are you trying to sell something or something? People are becoming, they become nervous if you start off that.
Yes.
So it's a scientific way of doing everything. So you just talk about non-justice. And there's no way to talk about non-justice on this planet on a grand scale without talking about race.
Okay. All righty. Well, B. Will, I hope that gave you sufficient answer to what you asked Mr. Fuller. 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call to get in contact with Mr. Fuller to ask your questions on topic or a topic of your choosing. Okay, let's do this. This is from Simply, if I said it properly. He wanted to know this, Mr. Fuller. He says, first of all, Mr. Fuller, thank you for your efforts in providing information to those of us who are interested in this particular subject, which is white supremacy. I would greatly appreciate if you would, Mr. Fuller, offer a suggestion to the query I have. Since you suggest that we call people by the names that they want to be called, what is the correct response to a male person wanting to be referred to as a female and vice versa, requiring that pronouns like she or her be used while referring to that person? If the suggestion is to proceed as the male/female person requests, will this not contribute to the confusion of non-white people and thus further hinder counter-racist efforts? P.S. Please offer a suggestion how to respond when a person requires that they be called by a profane name, such as Mother. Sincerely yours, Sipway.
Well, you can ask them if they're going to use that term. You will say, well, so that I don't offend other people who might be hearing me say that to you. Then I mean, if you're talking to the person directly and they say that's what they want to be called, the MF word you say.
Mm-hmm, that's what
All right. If nobody else is around, then that's what you would call them. You always call people by the name and title that they want to be called. Okay.
Always, right?
Always. Okay. Without exception. If you're going to have communications with them at all, otherwise you're not having.
So if the person requires you or wants you to call them, let's say BMF, then that's what you do. Are you paying attention to who may be around as you address this person?
Yes, you have to, and then you will say, well, can I give you your initials, just like you just said?
Okay, you ask the question then.
Yeah, MF. You ask the question of them. Say, will you permit me to call you MF rather than you spell out the word? Mm-hmm. Because I may alarm people who are standing around listening.
Okay.
All right? And I really don't want to use that term. And you can tell the person that. I really don't want to use that term because that's, that's against the code. That's not codified language to address people. But if that's your name, if that's your title, I have to call you by your name and title. I get your name and title from you. I don't get it from somebody else. I have to get it from you. That comes under courtesy.
But if that's the word or the name that they want you to refer them as, and you said that you should call a person by the name that they want, isn't that a little confusing?
Yes, it is. But at the same time, you ask for permission.
Okay, I got it.
Call them. Or you just avoid calling them by any name at all if you don't want to use the term.
Okay.
Okay. And ask for permission to do that.
Okay.
When I address you, can I just start having a conversation, and just say Mr. or Mrs. or something like that, and do not spell out your name at all or your title, because the term MF, that's a title.
Okay.
And the B word, that's a title, and so you just ask for permission.
Okay.
So if you're going to have communications with a person, white or non-white, male or female, whomever, even young people and whatnot, have a conversation. Don't talk down to anybody or up to anybody. Talk straight across. And the way to do that, equal communication. That's what you want. You want quality, equal conversation with everyone. Otherwise, you're going to have a conversation breakdown, and that's going to turn into something you definitely want to avoid with anybody. And that is what? An argument.
An argument. Okay, that sounds reasonable. All right, before I take this break here, let me go to the phone lines. Caller, you are now on with Mr. Fuller, and you can be heard. What is your question?
Good morning, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay. I like to use VGQ and share two thoughts. However, Mr. Fuller, if you would care to respond or give commentary, I would certainly welcome it. Mr. Fuller, you often say that racism and white supremacy are one and the same, and I disagree with that. Yes, only white people can practice racism, and all races are white people. However, I define white supremacy as the sum total practical knowledge and information that white people have about the universe. And I define racism as white people using this knowledge and information to dominate non-white people. A critical mass of non-white people in the area of the world called China have proven this. They have control of themselves in every area of activity except for war. They have accomplished this by gaining enough knowledge and information to make sure they are not dominated by the white supremacists in the first 8 areas of activity. And I think black people should follow suit and either duplicate or improve upon what the non-white people of so-called China did. I agree with your view that there are only 3 political classifications of people, which is white, non-white, and white supremacists. I also think that there are 3 genetic classifications of people. Black, meaning people who are genetically dominant over all people of the planet. Non-black, non-white, meaning colors in between. Red, brown, beige, tan, yellow, and white who are genetically recessive. I agree with Dr. Wilson's view that white people are fearful of white genetic annihilation, and I also think not only white people, but all non-black people have this fear. So that would give reason to believe that they would not share the common goal of producing justice with black people. I do subscribe and try my best to follow your code. However, I think the end goal of justice, as you define it, cannot be attained. One of the fundamental laws of nature is self-preservation, and I think the intelligent way to eradicate racism and white supremacy would be for each and every black person or a critical mass of black people guarantee that no person or group of people in the known universe dominates any black person. Thank you. And I'll take your response off there.
Alrighty. All right, Mr. Fuller, you care to respond to that?
Well, that comes under VGQ.
Which he stated.
Those are his perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's entitled to them, and all he has to do is just go with what he's thinking. So you always go with what the assessment that you come to. That's the United Independent Compensatory way. NEELY Fuller does not dictate to anybody what the facts are, what the truth is. I just throw it out there as an opinion. Everything that I say is an opinion or a suggestion about what to do about things and how to go about doing it. And that's all. And anybody else who has another suggestion, a different one, or one that is absolutely opposed to everything that I'm saying, if it's a victim of racism, he or she has a duty to do just that. And it doesn't make any difference what anybody says. You go with what you have, the conclusions you have come to, and take it all the way to where you think it ought to be.
So
whatever conclusions, that's VGQ, Victims Guarantee Qualification.
Okay.
You're qualified to do that as a victim of racism yourself.
So
you're not supposed to be dictated to by any other victim of racism or any white supremacists or suspected white supremacists, for sure.
For sure. Okay. So compensatory logic would suggest that if a person does give that VGQ, it is your duty to determine if that statement that they make or statements either is true or not true. Would that be correct?
Yeah, so you don't have to agree with anybody on anything.
Yes.
That's just it. That's anybody on anything. All you have to do is agree with what you think is the truth. Because truth is going to come to the surface anyway.
Yes.
Because what anybody says, NEELY Fuller or anybody else, what is really true and what is really false eventually will come to the surface on its own.
Okay.
All you have to do, everybody just push in the direction that they think that they should be going in.
Got it.
That they think they should be going in, not the direction somebody else is saying they should be going in. You can listen to everybody and should, according to the code, but you make up your own mind.
Okay.
And stick with the mind that you made up.
What you made up. Okay, got it. TalkToHim@radio.com is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Now, here's one that I'm going to share with you, and it is called Talking Sports Plus with Mr. Bobby. It premieres every other Tuesday here on TalkToHim@radio.com. And last night, we dealt with the subject of human trafficking. Now, what does that have to do with talking sports? Absolutely nothing. That's why we decided to add the plus. Not only are we going to talk sports, but we're going to talk whatever we feel is relevant for the day. And last night we talked about human trafficking. And if you missed the show, get the tape or go to the podcast and check it out. Some very interesting things coming on. Coming up on the 18th of this month, September, we're going to have a jazz singer named Sabrina Touchstone. Now, to me, my VGQ, she is equivalent to Nancy Wilson. And if you guys love Nancy Wilson, man, you should hear Sabrina. But all that is coming up on the 18th. And we have many shows here on TalkTainMenRadio.com that are just like that. Just like, including this one here. Very good, very outstanding shows. All you have to do is go to the TalkTainMenRadio.com homepage, click on programs for the scheduled times and little bios and whatever have you. All that from TalkTainMenRadio.com. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Our on-topic schedule is white supremacy as a topic. You can call in if you'd like, and we would certainly like you to do, by calling 877-932-9766. You can also Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY at gmail.com, and we will get that information, get you on. You can also go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage, hit the Listen Live button. Make sure you hit that, like and subscribe. YouTube. You can go to YouTube. All you have to do is go to YouTube, type in the word Talktainment, then scroll down to the word radio, and then there's a place for you to type in Talktainment number 2, and you're there. You can also hit the like and subscribe button there. And you can also go to Facebook.com/Talktainment.com, and you can hear and view the program in its entirety. All righty. Yeah, podcasts are available on the TalkTainmentRadio.com and Listen Live button. Yeah, you want to do that. Okay, let's move on here. Let me see. I'm getting ready to mess up on the time here. Okay. All righty. As you go through, Mr. Fuller, as I am searching to get my page back, as you did answer that question. A lot of people have written in and called in about the documentary Racism as a History on YouTube. Did you get a chance, Mr. Fuller, to view that yet?
Just one segment, and I understand there are 3 or 4 segments, maybe more.
13 segments.
Saw one.
Yeah, there are 13.
And that was some time ago.
Okay. Yeah, there are 13 segments. Each of them are about 10, 11, maybe 12 minutes long. It's not bad, and they run concurrently. So it's not a bad thing to do. A lot of people have asked about that. And of course, I can't answer for you because I don't know all the time that you have. But I did say that you may, when you get the opportunity, to look into that. They asked.
Yes, well, one segment, that first segment, was enough for me to say that probably. I didn't know about the other segments. The other segments are probably worth looking into too. But here again, I say anything that you look at going on in the world, period, including on a TV screen or in a movie or a documentary and whatnot, look at it and pick out the things that make the most sense to you. And look at everything with a critical eye, meaning look for anything that's said or that creeps into it that sounds like it may not have the ring of truth, or may be a suggestion that shouldn't be there in your own mind. See, do everything with the intention of looking for a lesson that will be of the most constructive value.
Okay.
And so because sometimes the white supremacists, regardless of, even the movies that I recommend, just look for the little hidden things in there that might be something that's going to be supportive of white supremacy.
Okay.
White supremacists always do that.
Alrighty. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. Got a couple of questions from Brother Palmer. and more of your Gmails. All that coming up next here on TalkTainmentradio.com.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Cooking online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Cooking products are better than those other guys. Ash Cooking candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin' online at www.ashkickin.com.
Are you ready for a high school that allows you to work at a place that is right for you? Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you are ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for high school students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org or call them at 1-800-888-7992. Life Skills High School, education that fits your life.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cutter Brother Rest Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
TalkTainmentRadio.com is proud to present the Compensatory Concept. It is an effective system for countering the effects of white supremacy. TalkTainmentRadio.com is able to carry the first hour. However, the cost for the second hour is exceeding our limited budget. That is why we ask for your kind assistance in keeping the second hour on the air. If you believe like we do, help us in this struggle for justice. Go to the gold donate button on the TalkTainmentRadio.com web page and hit the gold donate button. That's the gold donate button. And please donate. Help us to keep the second hour of the Compensatory Concept on the air. Thank you.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And our topic today is white supremacy as a topic, particularly if someone asks you about that, what do you do? And Mr. Fuller has used suggestions on how to address that issue. Call-in line is open, 1-877-932-9766. You can also Gmail me, which I have not checked in a minute or two, by 7, Mr. Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, at gmail.com, and I will get to that. But call in, phone lines are open. Okay, I'm going to ask a question from a Gmail, Mr. Palmer. It says, Mr. Bobby, can you ask Mr. Fuller to expound on what specifically are the principles that the system of white supremacy is based on so it will collapse?
The 9 areas of activity. Apparently, when the white supremacists thought up the idea of a thing called white supremacy and racism, they said in order for it to work, you have to dominate and mistreat people based on color. And we'll use direct violence, and we'll use indirect violence, which is deception. We'll use massive deception. We'll always fool them. Fool them how? In everything that they do. And we will mistreat them in everything that we do in regards to them. How? In every area of activity. And so I came up with 9 of them that I think just about covers everything, either directly or indirectly, and that is in alphabetical order. The white supremacists said we will dominate and mistreat them, people of color, in every area of activity. And I came up with 9, like I said: economics, which is the use of time and energy, along with money and everything else that goes with time and energy. Education, we will dominate their education, how they are taught, what they are taught, what they are not taught. We will dominate that. We will tell them, what to buy, what not to buy, what's important and what's not important. That's all a part of education and economics. And in the entertainment field, we will make sure that anything that they do to entertain themselves or to entertain others will be of non-constructive value. Try to make their entertainment totally non-constructive. Doesn't produce anything that helps a person to do something constructive. Try to make all their songs be in something non-constructive. But when you follow the words in their songs, you're going to wind up doing something that is absolutely stupid. All right? Try to guide them in that direction. Never have them do anything on a massive scale, on a popular scale, that makes any sense at all in the field of entertainment. The things that they laugh at, have them laugh at something that is, not going to be of any constructive value. The things that they cry about, because in entertainment you can make people cry. Okay? I mean, have that be of non-constructive value, because anything that we can keep them doing among themselves that is of non-constructive value will give us more power. And that's, okay, economics, education, entertainment, okay, and then you move into the L's, labor and law, all right? Anything in labor, dominate and mistreat them in that. When it comes to any kind of work to be done, anything like that, see to it that they are dominated by us, the white supremacists. Don't let them do anything in labor on their own and be off somewhere and we don't know what they're doing or whether or not it will be supportive of the system of white supremacy. Okay? Same thing in law. Same thing in politics. Same thing in religion, for certain. And same thing in sex, for certain. And of course, under war, the 9th area, and counter-war, any kind of fighting and whatnot will always wind up benefiting us as white supremacists. Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll let them engage in any type of fight that either directly or indirectly is going to make them stronger. Okay. Make them wiser and all like that. Okay. Always do something that's going to be very non-constructive for them when it comes to fighting anybody.
Okay. In essence, as I'm here listening to what you have just said, it appears to me that they have decided in all the 9 areas that they have declared war in all those 9 areas simultaneously.
Absolutely. It is war, and their victims right now in 2018, all of their victims are prisoners of war. We're not in the process of being captured. We were captured before we were born.
We're already captured.
The system of white supremacy has been in place. It's not getting in place. It's not something they're trying to build up. It's something they have had as long as anybody has been who is on the planet now has been on this planet.
Yes.
I mean, this is a generational thing. That's a done deal. So the only thing we can do now as prisoners of war is try to dismantle the entire system, because it's already in place. We are born in prison. And if every non-white person, every black person looks at it that way and acts that way every day, act like you're a prisoner of war, think like you're a prisoner of war, because that's what you are, according to all the evidence.
Okay.
And just because NEELY said that doesn't make it true. See, there are people who say, I'm not a prisoner of war. I'm not no prisoner of nobody. I'm free to do what I want to do.
Oh, really?
Nobody tell me what to do.
Is that right?
Yes. Now, any non-white person, any black person who says that, then I say, well, hey, go with what you just said. All right?
Okay.
I'm not NEELY Fuller's not out here trying to make a problem for you that you are saying you don't have. That would be incorrect of me anyway.
Yes.
Okay. All right. If you don't have a problem, if you're just gliding through this existence and you're a person of color, you really need to be studied about how you're doing it, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because I've never seen anybody just glide through this thing called racism.
Alrighty.
I've always seen it as an obstacle.
Oh.
Otherwise, I would find out where that train is where you can glide through. I would get on that train in the next 5 minutes. All right?
Okay.
That's what I would do.
All right.
And if anybody can point out to me anybody who's done it, I want to study that person and talk to that person and listen intently to that person to find out the exact procedure for doing it.
All righty.
Because that's what I've been looking to do.
Let's talk to this person here. Go ahead, caller. You're on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller. I know Mr. Fuller, I'm sure he's abreast of what's going on with Colin Kaepernick. He knows who Colin Kaepernick is, correct? You know he was Colin Kaepernick in his protest?
Mr. Fuller, you know who Colin Kaepernick is?
He was the person that took the knee?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've heard some things about it, and I try to keep up with it. There's something in this morning's Washington Post about it that I haven't gotten around to reading. I started to read, but then I had to go on the air. And I understand that, some of the shoe companies are backing him.
Nike.
Correct?
Nike.
Yeah, okay. And what he's doing. Now, the issue is with the NFL, according to the latest information, what are they saying about what these players can do and can't do? Somebody has to tell me that, and then I can give you my opinion out of the code book of what I recommend.
Okay. What is your question, sir?
My question was concerning that. I was going to ask, now I'm sure now that you mentioned about Nike making him the face of their campaign, I wanted to ask you, since all the other suspected white supremacists, which Nike is owned by suspected white supremacists, all the other suspected white supremacist companies are running from Colin Kaepernick. He can't get support. He can't get a job. He's suing the NFL owners right now so that they colluded against him to keep him from playing. No one will hire him. So is Nike giving him this, making him the face of their campaign? Is that an example of the white supremacists playing all sides of every argument?
It could be because the white supremacists do that. See, the white supremacists only look at one thing. At the beginning, at the end of each day, is white supremacy the only government worthy of that name government on planet Earth. They don't care about all the different things. I mean, who's telling lies, who's telling the truth. I mean, they'll look at that in detail when it looks like they're in trouble. But as long as at the beginning of each day, at the end of each day, the system of white supremacy is the most powerful government in the history of the world, they don't care about how that happens, as long as it happens. So they'll take any side of any argument, they'll say anything, they'll do anything, they will agree with people, they'll disagree with people, they'll just go whichever way will give them the most power. That's something you have to understand. They don't have any rules outside of that. question, and you know, it could be that they're taking both sides of the argument, but they're going to make sure that at the end of the day, they have command of all sides of anything that has to do with black people. They don't let black people do nothing that they don't have command over. All right, one way or another. Doesn't make any difference. They can make 2 twists and turns, or they can make 10,000. They don't care. Just as long as what the results are. They are very result-oriented people. That's why they are the most successful enterprise among people, political and religious, ever thought up in the minds of the people of the planet.
But it has had some results. There are white supremacists that are on social media now burning their Nike apparel, as well as I've noticed most of the non-white people, such as myself, most of us have given have relaxed on have forgot all about what Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for at first, and just have turned it into something that we become more accepting of the practice. We forgot all about that he was kneeling for injustices and young men getting killed, and we're just pleased that Nike has given him this money now. And so the white supremacist effect on black people, and is exposing the white supremacists that are burning the Nike material. So, what are your comments on that?
My comment is just the string of comments that I just made prior to that. I said the white supremacists, if any white supremacists have anything to do with this at all, and you can assume that they do, because white supremacists have everything to do with everything that black people do. All right? So anything that involves black people, the white supremacists are white supremacists. So I can't name who they are, and I'm forbidden to do that because I can't prove it, and never would attempt to. Being a prisoner of war of the white supremacists. Who am I going to prove it by? I have to prove it by another white supremacist. Okay? Now, I don't have a guarantee of that. So therefore, I can't name people or even a name brand of a shoe and say that, these people who are orchestrating this are indeed white supremacists. I can't say that because I can't prove it. There's nobody to prove that by except another white supremacist. That's what white supremacy means. Okay? So I would just say that, like the book tells me to do, the code that I've written, to the extent that a white supremacist has anything to do with it, is to make the system of white supremacy stronger. That's an absolute.
Okay.
Because they don't do anything that's not going to give them greater strength. Period.
Okay. By the way, there were 2 other companies that were before Nike that tried to contract with Kaepernick so that he would be the face of their company. I think Adidas was one. I'm not sure of the other company, but they look at it as he was going to be the face of their product, so this was a business strategy. TalkTimeAtRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTimeAtRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. If you have a question, you may call at 1-877-932-9766, or you could Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY at gmail.com. But at this particular time, we set aside it for Mr. Fuller to discuss the latest information on his books. Mr. Fuller, go ahead, please.
Yes, you can get the book by going to producejustice.com. That's produce, like you're producing something or trying to produce something. PRODUCE. Producejustice.com. And what will come up on the screen is a brief description of the revised expanded edition of the original textbook, which is also at that website, because some people are asking for it, going back to the 1984 edition. That's not actually the very original, but it's the original in that form, in 1984 edition. Some people have asked for that, so that's on there too. I recommend getting the revised justice.com, and you can get the basic book. You can get an addition to the basic book, the revised expanded edition called a Compensatory Counter-Racist Codified Word Guide. It has words in it similar to a dictionary, but it's not a dictionary. It says something about how to use words, how not to use words, and more than anything, questions to ask when other people use certain words. Because a lot of what the racists do, they do it through language, the way that they talk, the way that they write. It influences people greatly.
Okay.
Go to producejustice.com.
Alrighty, let's do this. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, you are now on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hello? Hello, sir?
Yes, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, it's Mr. Murphy from the so-called French Guiana country concept. I have a comment concerning the Colin Kaepernick with Nike. Mr. Fuller has written something that people should understand. Actually, it is written in all the books of Mr. Fuller, which is, as long as racism exists, anything said or done by people that is not intended to help eliminate racism and help to produce justice is a waste of time and energy. Which means for me that the case of Colin Kaepernick with Nike, if it doesn't help to solve the race problem, it counts for nothing. And I think non-white people should understand this once and for all, because we are in a total war. And whatever which will be done by any people on the planet, which will not help to eliminate racism, will count for nothing. This is what I wanted to say.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, we thank you for your comment. Mr. Fuller, you care to comment on the gentleman from the foreign country, I think French Guiana, about that? Basically, that it's not accomplishing anything if.
Basically, that is the controversy about the football player.
Colin Kaepernick. Joining with Nike. He was just basically saying if it's not constructive, it's not going to accomplish anything.
Well, we don't know whether it will or not. That's my opinion. But anything that points to racism as a problem, I say does accomplish something. That's just my opinion. Okay? It does focus on racism. That's the biggest problem on the planet. Anytime people take their eyes off of that problem and put their eyes on other problems that deal with people, those other problems are not going to be solved.
Okay.
That's the whole compensatory counter-racist concept.
Okay.
You can't solve any major problem between people. In labor, in law, in religion, in education, in economics, you're not going to solve not one problem among people on this planet called Earth without solving the race problem. You will always have a problem in any area of activity, including all the religions.
Okay.
All the sexual arguments that people have. You can't get to that without going through racism.
Okay.
If racism isn't on your agenda for problem solving, and it has to do with the people of this planet, that problem is not going to get solved.
Okay.
I mean, it's just going to lead to another problem, that's going to lead to another problem, it's going to lead to... Every time you fix one problem, the problems are going to multiply, because racism will see to it that every problem is multiplied.
Okay, then let me ask you this. Because Colin Kaepernick signed with Nike, and he is becoming, or has become, the face of Nike, which to me, in my opinion, is a business decision. But by Nike selecting him to be the face of their product, is that going to solve the problem of white supremacy, racism?
I don't think so.
Okay.
What Mr. I say focus on what the football player that you're talking about is doing.
Mm-hmm.
He took a knee.
Yes, he did.
And that knee was supposed to be, according to him, had something to do with taking a knee. He was sending a message about what? Racism.
Yes, yes.
So I understand. That's my understanding.
That's what he did.
Now, that's why I have a question myself. What what has he been told that he cannot do? Has he been told he can't take a knee?
Well, they're punishing people for taking a knee via what the president of this United States had indicated, or shifted the conversation from mistreatment to disrespecting the flag and the anthem, and that itself did not have nothing to do with Kaepernick taking a knee. He was speaking about the mistreatment of black people, going in jail, lifting hands and getting shot and everything. And it was suggested to him by a white football player that he not sit on the bench but actually take a knee, and then it really broke out.
Well, that's why previously, when the previous caller brought this up about this, I said that there's a compensatory suggestion that I have that I just like to put out there for anybody who does it. But the main thing I want to find out is what he has been told he can't do. Because if you are told that you can't do something, and then you go ahead and do it, that might make a problem there. So you don't want to amplify the problem according to compensatory logic. You want to solve a problem, but you want to solve it without making a bigger problem.
Well, not only did they tell him that, but they told any player that does that, the NFL colluded, the owners colluded, that there would be penalties involved for the personnel, the players, if they did that, take a knee.
Okay, now, that's what I'm looking at. See, the compensatory code says if you can't do one thing, and you're told you can't do that one thing, you do what? Something else. That's the compensatory codified way. I mean, the whole book, the compensatory code, the whole concept is about if you can't do one thing, you do something else.
Okay.
I have a suggestion that comes right out of the code book itself, because they are saying that he's disrespecting what?
Well, the flag and the military and all that.
The anthem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the compensatory code takes care of that slam dunk. First of all, there is a compensatory universal flag and a compensatory universal flag salute. The words that go with it. Now, the compensatory flag itself, according to the code, and it's in the code book. You can look it up. It's on page 124 of the Word Guide, or 123 and 124. It's in there. Now, here it is. Here's what it is. It's something I thought of years ago when people were having all kind of flag controversies. And I say, okay, when you take a pledge to a flag, that's any flag. I mean, if you're on the loudspeaker, you're just saying it to yourself. It's a universal pledge that is accurate. It's a truthful pledge that will fit anywhere, anytime, to any flag. And that is what? I do at all times. This is the quote, very short. I do at all times relate to the flag the exact same way that the flag relates to me.
All right, you got to leave it there. TalkTimeRadio.com, the world's greatest radio the way it should be heard. Thanks for the pleasure of your time. We'll see you the second hour.
Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest, and not necessarily those of TalkTimeRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTimeRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Welcome to the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go, the world's greatest radio. You are again in touch with the Compensatory Concept. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is radio the way it should be heard. To get in contact with the show, call 1-877-932-9766, and we will take your call and try to get you on immediately. Let's do this, Mr. Fuller. Let's pick up. Oh, by the way, we are discussing racism, white supremacy as a topic. How do you address that when somebody asks you about that? And Mr. Fuller in the first hour explained that, and all throughout this hour he will do that. Let's go back to the end of the first hour, Mr. Fuller, when you were speaking about that statement that you do at all times. Could you repeat that? And what page is that on in the, is that in the new revised?
That's in the revised expanded edition, the pledge.
Okay, what page is that on, by the way?
I don't have it right in front of me.
Okay, but repeat that, what you had mentioned.
Yes, because that's all you have to do. I mean, it becomes clear. In the early 1980s, someone asked me about that. What do you do? What do you tell your children to do sometimes when they don't want to stand or something like that? I said, you stand and you take the pledge. And they said, well, what do you say? I said, you say the truth about whatever the pledge is. So I looked at the current pledge, the one that we use in the Northwestern Hemisphere, and I said, well, that kind of flirts with the truth there. I mean, it looks like, the words to that. I mean, and even that song that is sung called the anthem. I mean, is that the type of song that you want to send to the world? I mean, that's not the best choice of a song, in my opinion. Talking about what, bombs bursting in air. I mean, we have enough of that. Maybe we should, adapt another one. But in the meantime, if they say you have to honor that and all like that, there's a compensatory way of doing it. And I'm saying when it comes to the flag, if they say you're disrespecting the flag, you can say, well, that's impossible, based on what I'm going to say. Because I'm going to take the pledge. All right, I'm going to take a pledge to that whatever flag you show me, and it's going to be right on point, and it's going to be the best pledge that you can ever take, anytime, anywhere, forever. Okay. And I say, here it is.
Okay.
I do at all times relate to the flag the exact same way that the flag relates to me. And it can't get any better than that. You're telling the truth. See, I mean, a lot of flag pledges, people are not telling the truth. That's number one. If you look at the words, I mean, you say, hey, somebody here might not be telling the truth. But if you make that statement, you'll always be telling the truth. I don't care who you are or where you are. If you have drunk and you make that pledge, you're telling the truth. I do at all times relate to the flag the exact same way that the flag relates to me. Now that's in using words. Now when you're on a football field or something like that, and you've been told not to take a knee, don't take a knee. This is just my suggestion, something I would do myself. Well, what would I do if I still want to stay true to my beliefs and still make my point? I would have in my helmet a piece of paper, a large one, and then I would take it out and hold it up, or a sign of some type. I would unroll it or whatnot, and would have one thing on it, a question mark. What is that question mark? That's the compensatory universal flag. Why? applies to every situation on the planet where there's some type of controversy. And you come into the world asking questions. That's why I always say on this program, the compensatory concept is that you are always asking questions. People ask questions all day long. That gets every situation. Questions. The question mark, that symbol of a question mark. So what you're doing, you're questioning, what is this all about on this football field? Why are we playing football? Why are we paying all this money for football players? And what does football have to do with ladies on the sidelines jumping up and down, flashing their legs and whatnot, and showing their belly buttons? And what does that have to do also with an anthem of any kind, advertising whatever, and all these other signs, that you see all around the stadium itself, advertising beer and, beer, well, is that healthy? That might not be healthy even for a football player.
Yes.
He might need to be drinking something else if he's going to get up some strength, because that beer is not going to give him no strength.
Okay, with that being said, Mr. Fuller, this is where one of the problems come in at, or an intersection where the problems come in at. Number one, Tim Tebow, a former NFL football player out of the University of Florida, took a knee on the football field in protest against abortion, and nobody said anything. Back in the early 50s or 40s, there were a few Major League Baseball teams that took a knee in protest of black ball players entering Major League Baseball, and nothing was said. But when this black man, Colin Kaepernick, took a knee because he felt that the mistreatment of black folks was bad, and he took that knee in a suggestion by a white football player who said that sitting on a bench, because that was his protest at first, was not effective, but by taking a knee, he would bring attention to that. That it makes for a controversy. Why you let Tim Tebow go, and then these white ball players, Major League ball players, they took a knee and you didn't say nothing then, but this black man takes a knee, and now you want to say this. That brings about confusion, Mr. Fuller.
Sure it does, and it also indicates there might be a racist intent, all right? So, but you're trying, you're in prison, you're trying to make a deal with the prison masters and whatnot. So when they tell you can't do one thing, but they didn't say you couldn't do something else, all right? So under the, banner of democracy, okay, and free speech, okay, well, they say you can't take a knee regardless of what they let somebody else do. If they tell me I can't take a knee, but I still have to be in prison and I have to have a job and all like that, they say, well, give me the list of things that I can't do. But I'm not going to even ask that until that comes up. Because one thing that they told me not to do, apparently, from what I'm hearing, is that I couldn't take a knee.
But you let somebody else take a knee.
No, but
you didn't say nothing.
Well, I can say something about that, but if they're not going to act on it, and they tell me, yeah, but you're not going to take a knee. Okay, so the compensatory code is about what can I do. All right, not all the things I can't do, because being a prisoner of war, there's a long list of things of what I can't do. But so I asked the prison master, the prison warden, what can I do? All right? And they say, well, one thing you can't do is take a knee, even though other people take a knee. I say, well, I don't think that's correct, but since you're giving me a direct order, okay, I won't take a knee.
So then
when I get out there on that field, what I will do, I will stand up. All right, I won't take a knee.
With that sign.
But I will take that
piece of paper or sign.
All right, and big enough for everybody to see, and for when they put the camera camera on it and whatnot, with a question mark. Because I'm doing the same thing Marvin Gaye in his song did.
What's going on?
What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
What is all of this about? All right? Which is just as effective, I think. It would be still making the point.
Okay.
You know? And if you ask me if I'm being patriotic, how come I ain't saying the pledge? Then I say the compensatory universal pledge that nobody, I don't think, can attack.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Let's do this. Say that one more time so all of the so-called America can hear and around the world.
Around the world. It will apply to any flag.
Right. Just say that pledge one more time so that it's clear. No mistake about it.
Yes, sir. And in my opinion, it's the most truthful pledge that you can have.
Okay.
You can take a pledge to any flag anywhere.
Okay.
Okay.
Here it is.
I do at all times relate to the flag the exact same way that the flag relates to me. And that is the truth. There's no way to get around that truth.
Okay.
Anytime anybody takes that pledge anywhere on earth, day or night, I mean, even if the flag is in a case, or the flag is on the end of a pole, or if the flag is lying on the ground, you're still relating to that flag the exact same way that the flag is relating to you, and no one can prove that you're not.
Okay. 1-877-932-9766. What is your comment on that statement, which I think is a very powerful statement? All righty. In the meantime, let's do this. Mr. Palmer says this. Mr. Fuller, you have stated many times that non-white people continue to be confused because we still don't understand what white supremacy is and how it works. Can non-white people learn not to be comfortable being institutionalized prisoners into the system of white supremacy, racism, and or not confusing comfort with justice?
Yes, the answer is yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't have written the book. And I wouldn't be on the air today talking about it. Because I've said no major problem. Everybody that I've ever even heard of had some kind of problem at some time in their existence, even if it's no more than trying to figure out a way how to paddle a canoe or how to swim. That's a problem. You know, if you're trying to learn how to swim and you don't know how, and you jump in the water, that can be a problem. Okay? So everybody has some type of problem at some time. I don't know where anybody doesn't have a problem. So the compensatory code, which is why that's called compensatory, making up for what's missing, is that if you have a problem, you want that problem solved. But you can't solve any major problem among the people of the planet if you are a person of color without solving the race problem. You're going to continue to have every type of problem you can name in every area of activity because the white supremacist is going to try to mess you up in every area of activity that you try to do anything in if you're a person of color. They're going to dabble in it and mess it up. And this is why we have a race problem. Otherwise, that would not be the biggest problem on earth. It affects everybody, white and non-white, because it's a system that's designed intentionally to dominate and mistreat people based on color. That's an artificial system, and it poisons everything. I don't care what you set out to do in economics, labor, law. You try to make a law, and either sooner or later you run right into something. Yeah, but what about this color thing? I mean, what kind of laws are we going to make, you know, in regards to people of color? We got to have some kind of laws, all right? And if you say, well, what religion are we going to? Let's come up with a new religion. The old religions haven't worked, okay? Yeah, but what kind of religion can we come up with where, you know, we don't have to give some type of regard to what color somebody is, okay? Like Martin Luther King said, Reverend Martin Luther King said that 11 o'clock on Sunday morning is the most separate
segregated
hour in Christian history, okay, or in Christian practices. Based on what? What do you mean by segregated? Segregated on the kind of people's beliefs? No, on the kind of what color you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just add, you got more houses of prostitution where you have black and white together on a Sunday morning than you have in churches.
Wow.
Yeah, you have black females in all these little motels out on highways and whatnot with white men. A routine thing that nobody even pays any attention to all over the world.
Yes.
Okay? You know, white men, hey, it's the weekend. I mean, you know, let's go and get some of them colored gals. You know, take them to the motel and have a party. Okay?
Yes.
All right, so, you know, a lot of people just overlook that because we've gotten so used to it.
Exactly.
But that's on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
See, you're talking about a weekend. See, on Sunday morning, if you just take the roofs off of every motel on the planet, you'll find a lot of that going on.
That's what our guest...
And you take the roofs off of the churches, and you'll find maybe there might be a black janitor, and he's not taking part in the services.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's do this. Caller, you are now on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Top of the morning to you, too. This is Lance calling from Bakersfield. Lance of hashtag Truth Rising 911 on BitChute. And my question is for Bobby Neal Fuller Jr. For context to this question, I'm going to say that and this is a fact, this is not my opinion, that the so-called Jewish Holocaust of World War II is one of the only, if not the only, historical event, or so-called historical event to be protected and enforced by laws. There's laws on the books in several different countries that forbid people to talk about it, to deny, or to question the validity of 6 million people dying, gas chamber myth, etc., etc. Also, for context to this question, the fact that the Jews these so-called Jews claim to be the chosen people of God, and there's such a thing as Christian Zionists, in regards to what was just spoken on about the Christian churches and the separation of the people, and that according to their own writings, is that there's a difference between a so-called Jew and a Gentile, the Judean versus the Goyim, and what a Goyim is. And the question is, the supremacy that's not being talked about, and the fact that the majority of these so-called Jews claim to not be white, and yet there is a supremacy known as Jewish supremacy that is being practiced and put into into the minds of people, where they are actually accepted in their concept is actually accepted by people worldwide in organizations such as the United Nations as being valid. So the question, with all that being said, is Jewish supremacy versus as opposed to white supremacy. Although these people who are the majority can actually be classified as white, but they do not classify themselves as white. So what is your view on that dichotomy?
Okay, Mr. Fuller?
I'll come right out of the code. Because we're talking about at least a religious label. That label is called Judaism, which last time I checked, is supposed to be a religion, all right? Along with Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Confucianism, Christianity, okay? So, what does the code say when it comes to anything that has to do directly and indirectly with religion? Okay, it's three things. It's on. See, you don't have to go through all this other stuff. See, codification is about simplification too. You take complicated things, and rather than go and have a 700-day argument with somebody, and you're not looking for an argument, you're trying to settle arguments. So the fastest way to do this in the compensatory manner and slice through all of this controversy Because I've heard these type of controversies battered around and whatnot, and at a certain point, I tuned it out because there were so many sides of so many different types of arguments. It added to confusion. That kept added to more confusion and more confusion. And the white supremacists strive off of confusion, including religious confusion. So, I said the best way to go about it as a victim of racism is this. 3 questions. See, I'm saying all problems can be solved through the process of questions and answers. And it's just 3. You don't have to go outside of those 3. And they are, what is the name of your religion, sir or ma'am? That's anybody that you encounter. If they start talking about religion, you say, wait a minute. All right, before we get into it, any details of the history of your religion, all like that, what is the name of your religion, sir? And wait for the answer, and don't interfere with the answer. That's always a mistake. Because now you're leading to an argument, which is what you don't want, is a religious argument, because that's going nowhere. That's been guaranteed to go nowhere. So you ask the person the name of his or her religion. That's number 1. Number 2, what does your religion require you to do, sir or ma'am, in all areas of activity? And then you name them. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, that's other people's religions, sex, and war. Because most religions have requirements. All right? So you just want to know, what does that person's religion require that person to do according to his or her religion? That's number 2. Number 3, this is the dynamite question. All right? This is the bottom line question. What does your religion, sir or ma'am, require you to do when you interact with me in any one or more of those 9 areas of activity? And that's all you want to know. And wait for the answer. Wait for a thorough answer, particularly in that last question. Because what you want to know, all you want to really want to know about anybody's religion at the end of the day is that when a person encounters you, even with a religion you've never heard of before, all you really want to know is how they're going to relate to you. You don't need to know anything about the history of their religion or what their agenda is or anything. They just want, see, and now you can hold it, you can hold up. You'll find the truth real quick based on what they told you. You will know whether they told the truth or whether they lied. And if they lied about any part of those answers, all right, now, if the person appears to be a white person, you say that's a suspected white supremacist running a game on me. It's as simple as that. I mean, you are definitely on my watch list. I mean, I asked you to tell me what your religion required you to do when you encountered me. And then I caught you doing something else other than what you told me. All right? One time, that's all it takes. You did something other than what you told me. And one of the main things is, did you lie to me about anything that you said? Because if you lied to me, all bets are off anyway. Because according to the Compensatory Concept code, that's the one thing that a white person cannot do to a black person anywhere without being put on the racist suspect list forever until racism itself no longer exists.
Okay.
Once you get on that you told me a lie list, you are a racist suspect until racism no longer exists.
All righty.
That's an absolute.
Okay.
See, codification is about having absolutes. That way you don't get confused.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for your call, then, very much.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. TalkTimeRadio.com is a 24/7, no-charge, worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, politics. And here's one that I'm going to share with you. And it is called All in the Family with S. Yolanda Robinson. Now, what is that show about? Why don't you tune in and find out, and even ask her what does that S stand for. All you have to do is go to talktaminradio.com, click on programs for scheduled times. That's from talktaminradio.com. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby, and I am the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Today's topic has been how white supremacy as a topic. If someone asks you about that, how do you answer them? And Mr. Fuller has been explaining that along with your questions that you have, and he's been answering them. And let's see here. Let's go to this question here. Why are white supremacists at war with themselves, non-white people, and the creator of the universe?
Because the white supremacists, according to, evidence, believe in war. They worship war. They like war. Most of the people's statues you see around our city and whatnot is not of some doctor or lawyer or a person that, does something constructive. Most prominent people in a history book in the system of white supremacy are people who tore up things, destroyed things. Went great distances to conquer people. They brag about people being conquered. You can turn on television, and everybody's got a gun in their hand. Hey, kill something, kill somebody somewhere, all the time. Hey, this is sport. This is recreation, we call it. This is fun. Video games, what? About things being torn up, cars turning over, buildings burning, bombs dropping. So when you have people teaching people that, white and non-white, they get a straight dose of this non-stop all the time and make it look like it's fun, well, the result is people make it fun. White and non-white people, in a system that's designed to make killing fun. War games, they call it. Games. Just like playing cards. Killing somebody is like playing cards in the mind of a white supremacist. They glorify death, and they cause their victims to glorify it. That's why you got so many black people out here slaughtering each other about nothing. Okay? Least little thing. I'll go home and get my gun. Or I'll shoot you right now. EMF. Somewhere, some black person is doing that right now. A whole lot of black somebodies are doing that right this minute as I speak. Okay? The white supremacists spread this right from grade 1. You go to elementary school, they tell you about people like Napoleon, Julius Caesar, Caesar Augustus.
Yes.
Just go down the list.
Okay, got to leave it there. TalkToHimAtRadio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkToHimAtRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. Nick, your question is up next on TalkToHimAtRadio.com.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Cooking online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Cooking products are better than those other guys. Ash Cooking candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin' online at www.ashkickin.com.
Are you ready for a high school that allows you to work at a place that is right for you? Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you are ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for high school students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org or call them at 1-800-888-7992. Life Skills High School, education that fits your life.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cutter Brother Rest Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
TalkTainmentRadio.com is proud to present the Compensatory Concept. It is an effective system for countering the effects of white supremacy. TalkTainmentRadio.com is able to carry the first hour. However, the cost for the second hour is exceeding our limited budget. That is why we ask for your kind assistance in keeping the second hour on the air. If you believe like we do, help us in this struggle for justice. Go to the gold donate button on the TalkTainmentRadio.com web page and hit the gold donate button. That's the gold donate button. And please donate. Help us to keep the second hour of the Compensatory Concept on the air. Thank you.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio, the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And we have been discussing racism as a topic, as one of our Gmailers wrote in. And a very powerful statement was made before we go to the phone lines at the beginning of the second hour. And Mr. Fuller, I want to make sure that I got this correctly. You said, I do at all times relate to the flag the exact same way that the flag relates to me. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. And I'm saying that's a flag pledge that anybody anywhere can use anytime and around any type of flag. If somebody tells you, take a pledge to this flag, you take that pledge and you'll be right on point. That's the best possible pledge that you can make. I came up with that idea in 1984 when somebody asked me about it. I mean, there was a flag controversy then, back in 1984, if I recall correctly. And I said, well, I'll try to come up with a compensatory pledge that will be non-controversial if you look at it for what it really is, because a lot of the pledges out here really don't tell the truth. When you're making the pledge, you're not really telling the truth. I'm not saying which ones, but if you look at the words, you'll say, is this true? You'll ask yourself that. That's the question.
Okay.
So therefore, I came up with that one. I told somebody who called me long distance, they said, Fuller, you the code man. I mean, what do you got to say about all this flag thing? I said, well, you try to come up with a compensatory pledge. I mean, that accurately reflects what's really going on. I mean, and no half-stepping. The best possible one that you can possibly come up with. That's what compensatory logic is supposed to be about. Doing the best possible thing that can be done. I told someone then that it would probably take me, 2 or 3 weeks. Took me about 4 years. Okay. I was writing and tearing up paper and writing and tearing up paper and finally I came up with just that simple one. It was real simple and right to the point. And I think that, you know, I think that until someone comes up with a better one, I can't think of a better one.
Okay.
And I'd like to say this. Someone said at that time that, yeah, Fuller, but how does the flag relate to you? How are you going to answer that question? And you just say the same thing you said before. I just told you. I do at all times relate to the flag the exact same way that the flag relates to me. Unquote. I do at all times relate to the flag the exact same way that the flag relates to me. Now, if the person just persists, like a lot of people will, say, oh yeah, but that's double talk and blah, 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 blah. I mean, you know, how does the flag relate to you? All right? They might get around to a question. Now, all questions have answers. Then that's when you can say, I don't know, but you can ask the flag.
Okay. Speaking about asking the flag, let's ask the caller. Caller, you are now on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Fuller. I've heard you say several years that there is no such thing as a black marriage or a black family in the system of white supremacy. Now, that's the comment. Now, here's the question. How do black people consider themselves to be married or have a family when they're in prison? Not only that, but how do black people consider themselves to be married and having a family when you're still in the bottom of the slave ship? I'd like your response to that.
All righty. Thank you.
The same way that people are supposed to act if they are prisoners of war, and they're prisoners of war in a war that they had nothing to do with starting. Okay? They are captive people. So how do captive people supposed to act? They're supposed to try to do something about getting rid of that prison. That's number one. And they're supposed to look out for each other in the process of doing it. That's all. The code calls it, we don't have families because prisoners of war do not have families. That's been taken away from them. Okay? But you do have care mates. That's what the code book calls it. Your spouse, you call a care mate. And you call your entire, you know, what you used to call a family, you call it a care unit. But see, you emphasize that first part of, you know, unit or mate, care, C-A-R-E. In other words, people that you're supposed to care for. You do what you can for them of constructive value. And they should do what all that they can for you. Care mate, care unit. That's what you have as prisoners of war. Because family means you got a support system all over the world. Everybody's supporting you. I mean, you're in a system that is in favor of you. But if you're a person of color and you're on planet Earth in 2018, you got a system in place that is not in your favor. It is anti-color. On account of your color, you have been made a prisoner of war. War has been made against you because of your color. Because the white supremacist says you have the incorrect color to be treated like a human being. You could be treated like a human being, but you're not a human being if you have color in your skin. You are a thing. You are an animal. You are something else other than a real person. You are 3/5 of a person maybe, or maybe 1/2 of a person, or maybe no person at all. That's white supremacist doctrine. Why? Why is it I'm not a person? Because you have color in your skin. Boy, wake up and smell the coffee. You got color in your skin. Sorry about that, old buddy. But you are supposed to be mistreated on account of you got color in your skin. That is an absolute no-no in my world. I'm a white supremacist. Get used to it.
Okay.
Now that's the whole doctrine.
Whole doctrine. Okay, Nick, this is your question up here. It says, My question for Mr. Fuller is, why all of a sudden, Mr. Fuller, are we becoming programmed to think that being authentically black means using profanity, adopting a certain cadence, and just acting ghetto in general? Even so-called famous black academics are altering their language and personalities to fit a mode which to me seemed like an insulting caricature of black culture. Black intellectuals in the academy are mocked and accused of hating their own race if they are not, quote, talking black, end of quote. One black friend of mine was even accused of being a black Republican just because he spoke articulately. Mr. Fuller, are the white supremacists behind this new unapologetically black movement? Thanks, Nick from Richmond.
Absolutely. Because the question is it constructive? Is modern 2018, year 2018, black culture constructive? The answer is no. It's almost pure garbage, all of it. Black culture has to be thrown in the garbage can. I mean, we almost got to start from scratch. Because the whites, what is culture? Culture is what you do. And you're either doing something constructive or you're doing something non-constructive. So just look at what black people do when they're on their own, and the way that they talk to each other, the way that we popularize, I mean, all kinds of things that are either constructive or non-constructive. And you've got two columns to choose from now. It's not but two. There ain't no such thing as in between. Constructive, non-constructive. In black culture, I wouldn't wish that on nobody if I had correct intent. You wish black culture on an enemy. Let them adopt that stuff that black people worship. All of it, the way we talk and everything, and see how far they get. See how far they get and how more powerful that they come. Less beggars, like we are, as prisoners of war. We're just beggars, perpetual beggars. You gotta beg when you're a prisoner of war. You can't get anything on your own. You're a prisoner of war. You can't disobey the prison rules without being punished. Okay? So black culture has been generated in the prison culture. Alright? And what do prisoners do when they really are under real tight control and don't have any hope at all? They turn on each other. Okay? Yeah, prison riots, most of it, prisoner against prisoner. Armed gangs and all like that. That's all they look forward to. Why? Because you become what they call you. Animal. Alright? You're worse than animals because birds look out for each other. Alright? Alligators look out for each other. Horses look out for each other. Okay? Buffalo in their natural habitats and whatnot. Ants do the same thing. But they fight when they're under conditions that are artificial.
Okay. Alrighty. From the Gmails here, this is from Mr. Walker. He says this, hello again, Mr. Fuller. I'm writing in response to the movie suggestions that you mentioned. I also have a few suggestions myself which provide many good lessons. Movies based on true stories. Number one, the Shaka Zulu miniseries, which came out in 1986. Number two, Spartacus TV series, which was on the Starz Network. This series was 4 seasons. And number three, Mr. Fuller, 300, which is about the Spartan/Persian battle of Thermopylae, led by King Leonidas of Sparta. These were some suggestions. Have you seen any of those movies or series?
I saw, I think, many years ago, Spartacus, but I didn't get much out of it myself. But anything, any movie that anybody suggests, people, according to the Compensatory Code, you can look at anything that anybody suggests. Look at any magazine, any book. lessons in there. But when you suggest a movie, you should have looked at it with the idea of finding out if there's a lesson in there that you can use yourself or someone else can use of constructive value. Any lesson of constructive value, that's what you look for.
Yes,
that includes all the things, lessons of what is non-constructive, because what is non-constructive is the opposite of what is constructive. So you can look at movies that have a lot of destructive elements in it in order to find out what not to do.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Another way that you can listen to our program is on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Is go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com, hit the Listen Live button, and when you do that, you got the program right here, and like and share. Speaking about that, or subscribe, excuse me, and speaking about that, TalkTainmentRadio.com, we go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. To get in contact with the show by phone, call 877-932-9766. However, this is the 45-minute mark, which is now 10:47, and this is the time that we have allowed for Mr. Fuller to speak about his book before we do the donation hour thing. Mr. Fuller, speak about your book.
Yes, you can get the book, the basic revised expanded edition, by going to producejustice.com. Also, there's the compensatory codified word guide, counter-racist codified word guide. That's in addition to the basic book. I would have liked to have had both of these volumes in one book, because I have a standard codified slogan, one problem, one book. The race problem is one problem. So anybody who's writing a book should try to put everything in that one book that pertains to what they think will help to solve here in 2018, and that's what I've tried to do. Not just what the problem is, but what an individual person can do to help solve the race problem, help to eliminate the system of white supremacy and replace it with the system of justice. Also, someone requested that the original basic textbook, which is now the revised expanded edition, that came out in 1984, that it be republished. Some people have requested that for some strange reasons which I can't understand, but since they understand it, it's practically covered in the revised expanded edition. Everything that's in the original edition has been repeated in the revised expanded edition. But some people say they like the format or something like that, so that's there too. And you can get it by going to, you can get any one of the 3 volumes by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com.
Alrighty, producejustice.com. Alrighty, 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call to get in contact with the show. 7 Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, if at gmail.com is another way. But this one right here is by phone. Caller, you are now on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
As academians, you know, sir, in this struggle against white supremacy, Dr. Claude Anderson and you and your views seem to be at odds. You say that there's nothing you can do in the realm of white supremacy. You are a prisoner, and that's true to a defeatist, one of a defeatist attitude, and it's also an absolute truth at the same time. But Dr. Claude Anderson says that as a people, you know what I'm saying, we shouldn't look at that as a defeatist attitude. We should partake in maneuvers to build ourselves up as a people. And I wanted to know, Dr. Fuller, why you academians right? Don't mention each other. Don't exist in a diatribe, get in with a diatribe with each other to come to some format or platform which we can stand on.
Okay, Mr. Fuller?
If I understand the question, the code does not allow me to be at odds with any non-white person about how best to solve the problem of racism. That's absolutely prohibited. I can't do that. I'm not opposing anybody. I'm not standing in anybody's way. All right? Now, that's number one. Regardless of who it is, I'm just taking the course that I say, which is not a defeatist course, depending on what you mean by defeatist. Everything in the code book is designed to help a person to solve problems. Everything is about problem solving. The race problem is a problem. So maybe it's something I'm missing here. So fill me in.
When you say, when I say at odds, maybe that might have been too strong of a word, because he didn't say anything personally against you, in your format or your platform from which you speak upon. But his views as your views, right, and differentiate amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? And when you say, and I understand where he's coming from, when you say we are in a prison, right? White supremacy is the only political, political, economical, position on the planet Earth, right? And that's true. And that is an absolute truth. But he comes from a framework where he says that you as a people were here before them, and you as a people built upon with yourself and within yourself, right, as a better people, and that this white supremacy is an illusion that has been cast over you, right? But you say that white supremacy, which is an absolute truth, is real, and we can see it, but it seems that y'all two viewpoints, right, collide with each other, and I'm wanting to understand why academians don't contact with each other, keep in contact with each other, and discuss, why their two worlds collide.
Well, I can't explain other people's actions. See, that's what I tried to explain. I tried to explain what the white supremacists are doing, and as far as illusions are concerned, I don't think that a black person who's being dragged behind a truck, that's an illusion. I mean, that's real.
It's not an illusion. It's not an illusion, right? It's not an illusion. Nothing I'm saying is against what you are teaching. It is an absolute truth, right? But then on the other side of that truth, right, it is a viewpoint that says, hey, you can pull yourself up from the bootstraps, if you will, right, and overcome this, okay? And I'm just saying, y'all two viewpoints, I don't want to use the word collide, intermingle with each other, right? But don't give us an avenue or venue for, taking back over or putting ourselves on top.
Well, maybe I don't understand the question, but I have written a book directed to the individual person, which I think I have a concept. The concept could be incorrect. I want to say that. But I believe if you have a code that solves the problem of each and every individual person, you will be automatically solving the problem of every individual person. I just tailored something to the individual. I'm not against problem solving. In fact, the book is written to do nothing but that. It's not saying the problem can't be solved. Someone said to me some years ago, Fuller, the race problem can't be solved. Nothing can be done. It can't be solved. And I said, and then the person that told me that said, it can be discussed, but it can't be solved. And then I said,
you believe that?
Then let me say this. Then I said, if it can't be solved, there's no point in discussing it. That's insane. That's getting to be more insane than we already are. Why discuss a problem as being a problem that can't be solved? I started out with the premise that the problem can be solved, but you got to go about it systematically. And I tried to come up with a system for doing so. Now, other people are supposed to be trying to come up with systems. I'm not opposing anybody. I'm not standing in anybody's way. I say everybody step up to the plate. In fact, everybody who's listening to my program is supposed to be writing code themselves about what? How to solve whatever problem they're looking at each and every day. Everybody on the planet who hears Neely Fuller talking about what we need as a code, Neely Fuller is not the center of the universe. I mean, to solve this problem is going to take everybody's efforts. So everybody should be sitting down every day trying to make an outline, which is nothing but, a code is nothing but an outline or a plan for problem solving. Because every time a non-white person solves any problem, that is a step in the direction of taking away the power of the white supremacists automatically.
All right.
I appreciate your answer, and I'll call next week with a different way of asking that same question.
Thank you so much, my brother. All righty. Good flow on the conversation, Mr. Fuller, and just outstanding today's show on how to address white supremacy as a topic. I'm just really proud of you and this statement. I just can't get it out of my mind. I do at all times relate to the flag the exact same way that the flag relates to me. That is a powerful statement. And you made it, and you say you made it back in 1984.
1984, and it is true. It is true of any pledge. Anytime you take that pledge to any flag, I don't care what kind of flag it is. I don't care if the flag is in the shape of a flower, or the flag is on a wall, or the flag is in the middle of a highway and whatnot. You're relating to that flag the exact same way that the flag relates to you.
All right.
It's impossible not to.
All righty. Well, we've come to the close of the show, so let me say this. Thank you, listeners, for the pleasure of your time. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. TalkTameRadio.com, the world's greatest radio the way it should be heard. We will see you next week with a dynamic topic, which will be the verdict in the system of racism and white supremacy. Thank you for listening. Bye.